What's up guys? Today we're going to be showing you how to install SuperATV's MaxDrive Power Flip Windshield on this Honda Pioneer 1005. So let's get right to it. So the first thing you're going to do is come to the front of the machine and go ahead and remove your hood. Slip your latches up, turn them. So in order to route our wires over to where they need to be, we're going to have to remove some hardware. We're going to have a 5mm Allen here on the corner of the fender and then 3 push pins. We're going to remove those now. So now we're going to grab one of our connectors on the wiring harness here that's going to plug into the actuator. Where we just removed our hardware, what we're going to do is just snake this harness down in between the dash and the fender. Just going to keep sliding it in just like that. And then just work it back to here. Just like that. And then we're just going to leave our excess hanging out the side. And we'll repeat the same exact steps for the opposite side. Now we're going to take our wire that's going to go to the opposite side and just run it right over top of this tube in the dash. That way it just keeps everything nice and hidden and as clean as we can make it. Then we'll do the same thing of where we snake our harness through here. Jumping in, pull it down, make sure it moves free, and we'll just leave our connector and harness hanging out the side. So now what you're going to do is go inside your machine and figure out a spot on your dash that you would like to install a rocker switch. We already have a hole cut over here on the driver's side. There's a nice little area to do so. You can absolutely match us and put it there, or you can put it up here somewhere, in here, totally up to you. So as you can see, this is where we cut our hole. Once you have your hole cut, what you're gonna do is come to the steering wheel, remove this rubber, just kind of fold it up out of the way, and it's gonna reveal 2 push pins. You wanna remove these 2 push pins. Once you remove the 2 push pins, you can pull down and remove this panel. It'll just slide right out, just like so. Then we're going to go back up front and we're going to route our wires to our determined rocker switch location. So now we're going to take our rocker switch plug and we're going to feed it to our rocker switch hole. So this can be tight and it can be a little difficult. I just like to feed it as far as I can. Just come right here where we just made our hole. Find my plug. And we will just pull it straight through, like so. And you're gonna grab your rocker switch out of your kit. And as you can see on the bottom, there's a tab. That tab's gonna line up with the tab on the harness side of the connection. Just take it. And these do go together pretty tight. What I found works best is making sure that it's lined up perfectly and then just kind of wiggling it in. You wanna make sure that the opens on top, closes on bottom. And we're just gonna feed our harness back through into the dash. And then pop our switch into place. Just like so. You're gonna go to the battery and remove your hardware securing your terminals to the battery. We'll go ahead and remove our hardware here. We'll grab this side of our harness. As you can see, we have a red wire and then a black wire. The black wire needs to go onto the ground side of the battery. We'll just slide our bolt through our eyelet. So it should look just like this. And then we're gonna reconnect our battery using the same factory hardware. All we did was add the eyelet for the power flip in line. We'll come over here to the hot side, or the positive side of the battery, and do the same exact thing. Again, put the bolt through the eyelet, get your hardware started. Just like so. And then we're just gonna leave all this laying how it is for right now. Later on in the install, we'll come back and tidy all our wiring up. So the next thing we're gonna do is go ahead and grab our clamps out of our kit, remove the hardware from the clamps, and then we're gonna install the clamps to the cage. If you have a roof, you'll wanna go ahead and loosen the hardware up enough to where you can lift it up out of the way in order to install the clamps. When we're installing these, we wanna make sure that the two threaded holes are facing out, away towards the front of the machine. The spot where the hardware is gonna go through is gonna be towards the inside of the machine. So we're gonna lift up on our roof, and we're gonna put a clamp roughly in this area here. Let the roof sit back down. We're gonna put a clamp here, in the same location as this one on the opposite side, and then one in the corner, just like we're gonna do here. So for the next step, we're gonna be installing our brackets to the machine. You're gonna need an M6 by 20 millimeter Allen with an M6 flat washer, an M6 by 20 millimeter hex head, so it'll have a 10 millimeter head on it. And then you're gonna need an M8 Allen with an M8 flat washer, as well as your driver's side bracket. So this bracket's gonna install with the SuperATV logo facing towards the inside. We're gonna head to the machine and get it installed. So there's a factory threaded hole right here on the cage. This hole right here on the bracket is gonna line up with this hole here, get it lined up with the factory threaded hole. I like to just go ahead and get it started in as much as we can. Then we're gonna line our clamp up with our bracket. We'll install our 8 millimeter Allen. And if you notice here, I've left all of my hardware loose. I haven't even put the bolts in my clamp. The reason I do this is I don't want to be fighting the clamp back and forth. I'd rather it be loose to where I can manipulate it wherever it needs to be in order to get all my hardware squared up and fitting correctly. So as you can see here, I can move this around any which way. We're gonna leave this one just like this and then go over to the passenger side and repeat the exact same steps. So whenever we go to install this bracket, we want to make sure that the Circle S cutout is facing towards the center of the machine. Right here, we're going to have a slotted hole. Our hardware is going to go through this slotted hole into a threaded hole on the cage. Then these top two slotted holes here, that's where our hardware is going to go directly into our previously installed cage clamp. First thing I like to do is go ahead and get my hardware started into the factory threaded hole on the cage, just to kind of help me hold it in place. Once we kind of have it halfway started there, we'll go ahead and grab our Allens. Got our 8 millimeter Allen, now our 6 millimeter Allen. And like I said previously, we are just hand tightening everything. Leaving everything nice and loose, that way we can adjust it around. We don't even have our hardware in our clamps just yet. Just for the simple fact, if I can maneuver this any which way I need to ensure we're gonna get proper fit up. So now we're gonna grab 2 of our M6 Allens with 2 M6 flat washers, 2 M6 nylock nuts, and our actuator brackets. These actuator brackets are gonna install on the inside of our previously installed brackets, just like so, utilizing the M6 Allen headed hardware. So we're gonna go ahead and start our hardware through the bracket, line it up, start the nut on the back side, so it should look just like so. So now we're going to repeat the same steps on this side, taking the actuator bracket and our M6 Allens. Once we have our hardware started here, we're going to go back through and start starting all of our hardware into our cage clamps. So now we're going to take the hardware that we removed out of our cage clamps and reinstall it. So at this point in the install, what you're going to want to do is go ahead and remove the rest of the contents of your packaging from SuperATV. You're going to have your windshield and 3 different kinds of seal. The first seal we have here is going to be our straight seal. The thin foam gasket, this is going to be our D seal. Lastly, we have the bulb seal. When we're installing this bulb seal, we want to make sure that the bulb portion is facing towards the cage of the machine. So the bulb's gonna go on the sides, the straight will go along the bottom, and then the D is gonna go in between the upper portion of the windshield and the lower portion of the windshield. So we're gonna take our bulb seal and run a piece from here to here. Once we get to this point here, we're gonna go ahead and cut off the excess. Said, once you get to this point right here, just go ahead and cut it off. Then we're going to run a piece of bulb seal from here all the way to this point here and cut off the excess. So once we get to this point right here, just go ahead and cut off the excess. So once you have this side completed, running the bulb seal on the upper portion and then the lower portion as well, you'll just repeat those same exact steps for the opposite side of the windshield. So now we're going to grab our straight seal and install it to the lower portion of the windshield that is going to mate up to the dash. You're just going to want to peel your protective film back enough to install the seal. And we'll start right here on the corner. We're going to run it all the way across to the opposite side. And once you get to this point here, go ahead and cut off the excess. So now we're going to take our D seal and apply it on this lip on the upper portion of the windshield. Once we get to this point here, we're just going to go ahead and cut off our excess. So now we're going to install our windshield to the machine. So now we're going to grab our 8mm Allens. And we're going to install them through the front of the windshield through a previously installed bracket. Now we're gonna grab our last M6 Allens in the kit. These Allens will have a sealing washer on them ready to go. They're gonna go directly through the upper portion of the windshield into the clamp that we previously installed. So now what we're gonna do is go through and fully tighten all of our hardware. As long as our windshield is laying nicely, your windshield should look just like ours, to where it lays up on the dash nice, fits the profile of the cage perfectly, to where there's no gaps, nothing of that nature. So we're just gonna go through, fully tighten all our hardware at this point. So the last thing we have to do is to install our power actuators. We have our hardware laid out in the orientation it needs to be installed. So you're gonna have your 5mm nut, 5mm washer, 6mm washer, and your 2 bushings. So we'll just take our bushings and install them into our actuators, just like so. We'll just pop right in, either side. I like to just go ahead and only get the bushings in the side that I'm going to be working on first, which will be installing the upper portion of the actuator first. So once we have our bushings installed, it's going to be time to head over to the machine and get the actuators installed. So now we're just going to take our actuator and install it to our actuator bracket just like so. Hardware through, install our M5 flat washer and our M5 nylock, just like so. And come down here and make the connection to our harness that we previously ran. So now we're going to take our bushings, install it into the lower portion of our actuator. We're just going to take our actuator and line it up on the bracket. It's on the windshield itself. We're going to use the same hardware combination that we did on the upper mounting position. Take our M5 washer, M5 nylock nut, attach it. Repeat all the exact same steps for the driver's side. So now all you need to do is go ahead and remove the protective film off your windshield. Make sure everything's adjusted correctly. Pull your wires down, tie up your excess. Obviously, every machine is going to be a little bit different. You're going to tie up your wires differently than we may here. Biggest thing is you just don't want a bunch of wires clustered up together or in the way. Once you've done all that, that's all there is to it to install SuperATV's Power Flip Windshield on this Honda Pioneer 1000. Be sure to check the description below to pick yours up today. While you're there, drop a like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you on the next one.